The loudest shift in motorcycle culture is here. Riders over 50 are handing in their Harley keys and choosing Honda instead. Quietly, steadily, the brand that once ruled the road is being replaced. And what's fueling it isn't just performance, it's something deeper. Watch until the end of the video to find out the truth why Americans are switching to Honda. The day the trade-ins spiked. The signs didn't come from some flashy ad campaign or a dramatic press release. They came from the floor tiles of small-town dealerships. One by one, senior riders began wheeling in their beloved Harleys, some with custom pipes, others with fading patches on the saddlebags, and asking a question salesmen hadn't heard in years. But the shock wasn't that trade-ins were up. It was what they wanted instead. They weren't trading in for sport bikes or newer Harleys. They weren't looking at Indian. They weren't chasing performance, style, or social media attention. They were walking straight past the V-twins and going directly to one brand, Honda, specifically models like the Goldwing and the NC 750. Bikes built with low seat heights, balanced handling, and soft clutch pulls. Bikes that weren't trying to be loud, proud, or rebellious. Just smooth, dependable, and forgiving. The sudden shift forced dealers to double-check their inventory logs. Over a 3-month period, trade-ins among riders over the age of 55 jumped by nearly 30% in certain regions. And in states like Arizona, Florida, and South Carolina, where year-round riding is a lifestyle, not a hobby, Honda models quietly started outselling Harley models for the over 60 crowd. These weren't isolated flukes. This was a migration. And if the dealers had missed the wave, it wasn't because it was small, it was because it was silent. And behind that silence was something more painful than lost loyalty. Physical pain itself. We've done some in-depth research to uncover why so many senior riders are making the switch from Harley to Honda, and there's even more to this story that we'll be diving into. If this has you intrigued, give this video a like, leave your thoughts in the comments. It hurts my back now. Loyalty means little when your lower spine goes numb after 20 minutes of riding. And that's exactly what many older Harley riders began confessing, not to marketing agencies or journalists, but to each other, in bike nights, roadside stops, and group chats. For decades, they had adapted to the Harley posture, that low-slung saddle, wide handlebars, and forward foot controls. It looked great. It felt powerful, but as age caught up, it started to feel punishing. Many tried to hold out. Some installed aftermarket seats, swapped bars, or added risers, but at a certain point the question became too loud to ignore. Why am I working so hard just to keep riding something that doesn't want to adapt with me? That's where Honda entered. Not with a shout, but with a whisper. Their bikes didn't promise rebellion. They promised relief. Adjustable windshields, smooth suspension, quiet engines that hummed instead of howled. Riding a Honda didn't feel like compromise. It felt like permission to keep riding without hurting. And as more riders made the switch, Harley sales teams started to notice something terrifying. They couldn't win them back. If you're ready for gear that supports comfort, confidence, and long-term riding, our most trusted picks are all in the description below. Dealer testimony. We can't talk them out of it. Inside Harley showrooms across the country, a strange silence began to settle in. Not from a lack of foot traffic. Older riders were still walking in, still talking, still reminiscing about past rides. But they weren't asking about road glides or heritage classics. They were talking about reliability. They were talking about ride position. They were talking about Hondas. Even the old magic phrases, made in America, that Harley sound, freedom on two wheels, were losing power. For riders over 60, those things still mattered emotionally, but practically, not enough. Not when a Honda DCT meant never worrying about a stiff clutch again. Not when a quiet, well-balanced Goldwing promised 200,000 miles without a breakdown. And the most alarming part? These weren't hostile customers. They weren't angry. They weren't bashing Harley. They were just done. Some salespeople tried to frame the Hondas as boring or sterile, but for someone who just had shoulder surgery or was coming off blood pressure meds, boring was beautiful. It meant predictability. It meant control. It meant peace of mind. But who were these riders? These silent defectors reshaping the market from within. They're not influencers, they're not stunt riders, and they're definitely not 20-something speed demons. The people leading this migration are the very backbone of Harley's golden era. Veterans who bought their first Softail after Desert Storm. truckers who rode out their weekends between long hauls, firefighters, cops, and union workers who once filled Harley rallies by the tens of thousands. They are practical, proud, and not easily swayed by trends, which makes their departure all the more meaningful and dangerous for Harley-Davidson. Because when the most loyal customers in the world quietly start walking away, it's never about fads, it's about survival. Many of them still love the brand. They still wear the shirts, they still keep old photos of their bikes in the garage, but when asked why they switched, their answers are strikingly consistent. It's easier on my body. I trust it to start every time. I don't want to keep fixing things. This isn't a rebellion. It's a retreat from noise, complexity, and brand pressure. A move toward peace, comfort, and reliability. Honda, by accident or by design, has become the unofficial brand of second chapters, of lifelong riders who want to keep going, just not the hard way. And it turns out, what they're buying reveals exactly what Harley forgot to build. Reliability isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. For most senior riders, this shift isn't about flash or fame. It's about trust. Trust that the engine will fire up on a cold morning. Trust that the battery won't fail on a weekend ride 2 hours from home. Trust that the mechanics won't drain your savings with vague repairs and inconsistent parts. And when it comes to that kind of trust, Honda is delivering something Harley simply no longer can. Ask any longtime rider in their 60s or 70s what they value most today, and you'll likely hear the same answer. Consistency. The Goldwing, the Rebel, even the Shadow. These are bikes designed not to impress in the parking lot, but to survive the next 20 years without turning every ride into a gamble. Honda's reputation for durability isn't a marketing line. It's an inheritance built over decades, and it's proving to be the #1 reason riders are switching. Older Harley owners are beginning to talk openly about the stress they used to hide. Electrical gremlins, dead starters, overheating on long rides. They're done pretending it's just part of the charm, because charm doesn't get you home safe. Honda, on the other hand, is showing up every time, and that reliability is no longer seen as boring. It's empowering. But reliability is only the beginning. When riders start comparing the ride itself, the result isn't even close. Goldwing versus Road Glide, the cold reality. The Road Glide has long been Harley's go-to answer for long-haul comfort, but once you actually ride a Honda Goldwing, especially as a senior rider, the illusion collapses. The weight distribution, the wind protection, the low center of gravity, the seat contouring. It's a completely different experience. It feels less like you're taming a beast and more like you're partnering with a precision machine. In straight-up tests, the Goldwing consistently wins on rider fatigue. It absorbs more vibration. Its throttle response is cleaner. It requires less physical effort at low speeds, where most tip-overs happen for older riders. Add in Honda's industry-leading dual-clutch transmission, and the Goldwing becomes not just easier to handle, but smarter. Then there's the tech. While Harley often promotes style-forward infotainment systems with big graphics and chrome surrounds, Honda quietly built a system that just works. Navigation syncs. Audio clarity is pristine even at highway speed. Buttons are glove-friendly and laid out intuitively. The technology disappears into the ride rather than getting in the way of it. Maintenance is another wake-up call. Goldwings don't just go farther, they ask for less. Fewer service intervals, lower parts cost. No nickel and dime upgrades just to get basic functionality. The riders making the switch aren't raving about horsepower, they're relieved by what the Goldwing doesn't demand from them. But while the comparison shocks most riders, what really pushes them to switch isn't about specs. It's about what Harley has quietly become, the hidden costs of Harley ownership. The number of older Harley riders quietly admitting they feel financially stuck is growing. It's not just the bike's sticker price anymore. It's the slow accumulation of charges. Some obvious, others hidden behind that badge of pride. And it's become a burden too heavy for many to carry. Start with maintenance. Harley dealerships are notorious for high hourly rates and markup on parts. Regular oil changes, valve checks, and transmission services come with premiums, services that Honda owners often handle less frequently and at lower cost. Add in the need for frequent aftermarket accessories to improve ride quality or safety, things that come stock on a Honda, and the math begins to feel unfair. Then there's depreciation. While Harley has long claimed strong resale value, recent trade-in data tells a different story. Models that were once seen as timeless now lose thousands within the first few years, especially once new comfort-focused models are introduced. Honda, meanwhile, holds value precisely because its buyers keep them longer. The machines last, and the market knows it. Insurance premiums can also be punishing. Some Harley models cost significantly more to cover, especially for riders over 60. Combined with rising property and medical insurance, it's no longer just a nuisance. It's a reason to leave the brand entirely. What's most damaging isn't the dollars themselves. It's the realization that the costs have been normalized. It's just part of owning a Harley, some used to say, but now they're saying something else. It's not worth it anymore. And once that financial fatigue sets in, riders begin to question other things too, including the very sound that once defined the Harley experience. Once upon a time, the deep rumble of a Harley engine was a badge of identity. It was rebellion. It was pride. It was a rolling declaration of freedom and thunder. But for an increasing number of older riders, that sound now feels more like a headache and less like a thrill. The perception has shifted too. What once symbolized toughness now sometimes feels out of place, especially on scenic routes through quiet towns or in retirement communities. It's not that riders have gone soft. It's that their priorities have changed. Comfort now outranks performance. Tranquility matters more than theatrics. Honda picked up on this years ago. Its engines hum rather than growl. The rides are smooth, the exhausts subtle. The result: riders arrive more alert, less sore, and less exhausted. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. The loud pipes save lives era may never fully disappear, but for many older riders, especially those returning to the saddle after decades off, it's not a selling point, it's a reason to switch. But beyond price and power, something deeper has changed. What it means to be a Harley rider is falling apart from the inside. They don't build them for us anymore. It used to be a given. Harley-Davidson made bikes for real riders, men and women who knew the open road, who'd lived long enough to value stability over flash. But somewhere along the way, that relationship changed. Today, senior riders look at newer Harleys and feel a creeping sense of alienation. The bikes are heavier, taller, louder, but less practical. The controls are buried under layers of touchscreens and toggles. Even the seats, once built for comfort on a 12-hour ride, now seem sculpted for showroom appeal, not aging backs. Many riders in their 60s and 70s are starting to say what they used to only whisper, "These bikes aren't built for us anymore," and they're not wrong. Foot peg positions have shifted to favor aggressive postures. Handlebar angles no longer accommodate stiff wrists. The infotainment systems look like they belong in luxury cars, not in a machine meant for instinctual analog riding. This isn't just a design problem, it's an emotional one. When you've spent decades identifying with a brand, watching it drift toward a demographic that never really showed up, that stings. For lifelong Harley loyalists, the feeling is clear. They've been forgotten, and the sting of that realization isn't just personal, it's deeply cultural. Harley sold them a lifestyle, then pivoted to sell a fantasy, and now those who built the brand with their dollars and their loyalty feel left behind. But as the emotional connection cracks, something even deeper is starting to fade: the meaning of the name itself. The badge doesn't mean what it used to. Once upon a time, the Harley badge on your fuel tank said it all. You were independent, tough, maybe even a little dangerous. It was more than a machine, it was an identity. But today, that identity feels like a burden. Ask any older rider who's had to pay out of pocket for another electrical failure or wait weeks for a proprietary part, and they'll tell you, the badge doesn't carry the pride it once did. The emotional shift is subtle, but unmistakable. Riders don't brag about their Harleys anymore. They make excuses for them. "It's got character," they say, or "I've had worse." What used to be a statement of confidence is now a punchline about reliability. The thrill has been replaced with wariness, and the romantic image is blurred under the weight of constant maintenance and inflated accessory costs. In contrast, something remarkable is happening on the Honda side. Riders who once scoffed at metric bikes are now describing their gold wings and shadows with surprising tenderness. Words like reliable, smooth, and honest keep coming up. The Honda badge may not stir the soul like the old bar and shield did, but what it lacks in myth, it makes up for in peace of mind. And for older riders, peace of mind is freedom. And that new definition of freedom is spreading in a way Harley can't control. One video at a time. YouTube changed everything. Something shifted, and it didn't come from a dealership. It came from a guy with a tripod, a gravel driveway, and a quiet voice. On YouTube, senior riders are building massive audiences just by telling the truth. They've moved on from Harley, and they're not looking back. These aren't influencers. They're retirees, mechanics, weekend warriors, and they're putting in the miles and the proof on Hondas. Their videos are raw but honest. Maintenance breakdowns, fuel economy comparisons, side-by-side ride tests. No special lighting, no scripts, just experience. And it's resonating. Riders in their 50s and beyond are skipping the flashy dealership walkthroughs and watching full ownership reviews from people who look and ride like they do. They want to hear about clutch feel with aging hands, seat comfort on long hauls, and whether the ride causes sciatic pain. What they're finding is a consistent story. Honda delivers. Not flashy, not loud, but dependable. And in a world where trust is rare and marketing noise is deafening, that kind of quiet honesty speaks volumes. The loyalty Harley once commanded is now being handed, video by video, to the brand that riders never thought they'd love. But viral videos don't build reputations alone. Honda had to back it up with something tangible. Honda never tried to sell rebellion, they sold reliability. And now that decision is paying off in ways Harley-Davidson never saw coming. While Harley leaned on legacy and chrome, Honda leaned into engineering. They studied older riders' habits and needs, they refined ergonomics, reduced vibration, and prioritized ease of use. Every detail had a purpose, to keep riders in the saddle longer, safer, and happier. This wasn't marketing fluff, it was real design. Controls placed within natural reach, gearing tuned for smoother shifts at lower RPMs, lower seat heights for better footing at stoplights, dashboard displays that communicate clearly, not dazzle. These are not small improvements. They are signs of respect, and riders notice. It's why the word trust comes up again and again in rider forums, interviews, and yes, those YouTube videos. Riders aren't just switching to Honda for the bikes, they're switching for the feeling that someone is still designing with them in mind. That feeling is rare, and it's incredibly powerful. And now that the switch has begun, there's no easy way to stop it. What's coming next may reshape the entire market. It is not hype, it is not marketing, it is momentum. Honda has quietly captured the most loyal, long-term, and growing motorcycle demographic in America, riders over 50. While others chased viral trends and electric headlines, Honda kept delivering simple machines that just work. No drama, no learning curve, just reliability. And now, that strategy is turning into dominance. Over the next decade, the over 50 riding population is expected to increase by nearly 20%. As boomers and Gen X riders age into retirement with time and money to ride, they're no longer impressed by loud exhausts or barroom branding. They want something that starts every time. They want something that respects their experience. They want to ride, not wrench. That's where Honda wins without even trying. The Gold Wing is already the gold standard in touring reliability. The Shadow lineup has near-legendary service life, and even Honda's mid-range cruisers offer something no Harley can promise without a caveat: peace of mind. Dealerships are noticing. Trade-ins are rising. Some states are seeing a nearly 30% uptick in Honda sales among riders over the age of 55. It's not a trend anymore. It's a migration. And while some still cling to the badge, more and more are making the switch and not looking back. But what happens when the switch becomes a movement and that movement builds a community of its own? The Honda community is quiet, but it's growing. You will not see them revving at stoplights or flexing at rallies, but they are out there. Thousands of senior Honda riders meeting for sunrise rides, gathering at tech nights, and forming local groups built not on rebellion but on routine. These riders are discovering a different kind of motorcycle culture, one that values connection, not competition. In coffee shops across Florida, Oregon, Texas, and Arizona, older riders are organizing weekly rides and maintenance meetups. They share torque values, not torquey boasts. They swap tires and stories. Some teach each other oil changes. Others map out low-traffic scenic routes. And in this calm, respectful environment, the Honda brand is not the centerpiece. It is just the machine that brought them together. This quiet expansion is deeply powerful. Unlike Harley rallies that often feel like brand spectacles, spectacles, these Honda communities don't need permission or merchandise to exist. They are built on function, friendship, and the freedom of knowing your machine will never betray you. For many, that's the new rebellion. Riding without drama, without worry, without proving anything to anyone. Online forums like Goldwing Docs and Honda Shadow forums have doubled their user engagement in the past 3 years, and the largest Goldwing Facebook group passed 200,000 members, all without corporate backing or advertising. This community doesn't want to be sold to, it just wants to ride. Meanwhile, across town, the brand that wants to find loyalty is scrambling to stay in the conversation. It is not that Harley-Davidson has given up. In fact, they have launched a series of responses to the aging rider base. Soft touch controls, lighter clutch pulls, more adjustable suspensions. And yes, some of their newer models have begun to lean into comfort-focused riding. But for many longtime riders, the effort feels too little, too late. Harley's marketing still leans hard on image. Their commercials still show tattooed rebels riding into sunsets with steely stares. But that is not who most of their customers are anymore. 70% of Harley's buyers are over the age of 50, yet few of them see themselves reflected in the brand's messaging. They want utility. They want assurance. Instead, they are offered slogans and sparkly chrome. Harley is not failing because its bikes are inherently flawed. It is failing because it mistook brand loyalty for brand immunity. Riders were willing to forgive until they found out they did not have to. Once a rider trades in for a Honda and finds that everything just works, going back feels like self-inflicted punishment. The challenge for Harley is not just technological, it is emotional. Riders want to feel seen, and the moment they realize another brand sees them more clearly, it's already over. Leadership is not about holding on to the past. It is about recognizing what people need now, and Harley is still catching up to that realization. And if this shift continues, it won't just redefine the industry, it could reshape motorcycling's entire cultural identity. If you're as fascinated as I am, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment on your thoughts, and hit subscribe so you won't miss out on the next big shift in the industry. At its core, this migration from Harley to Honda is not just about torque curves, seat height, or maintenance intervals. It is about identity. For decades, owning a Harley was a statement that you lived life your way, that you valued grit over gloss, that you were in it for the long haul. But now, more and more senior riders are saying something different with their purchase. I want to keep riding. I want comfort. I want peace of mind. Honda offers that without apology. It doesn't try to sell rebellion, it sells reliability. And for an aging generation that values health, simplicity, and connection over noise and attitude, that is exactly what they want. They're not giving up riding. They are redefining what riding means. It's not about image anymore. It's about longevity. This shift is also generational. Younger riders are not flocking to Harley like they once did. Many are skipping big cruisers altogether. That leaves Harley caught in a shrinking demographic with no clear path forward. If the brand cannot hold on to the one group that built its empire, the over 50 crowd, it risks fading into irrelevance. And the longer it waits to acknowledge this shift, the faster that future arrives. Loyalty cannot be demanded, it must be earned, and Honda is earning it one rider at a time. Quietly, patiently, and decisively. Because for many, the ride never ends, it just gets better. And for the first time in decades, the better ride might not wear a Harley badge at all. If you thought the shift in senior riders' preferences was surprising, just wait until you see what we uncovered about low-cost bikes that outlast even the priciest models. There's a reason mechanics are stunned, and these affordable rides are earning serious respect. Stick around and check out our previous video.